Thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Collision Vision driven by Auto Body News. As always, I'm your host, Cole Strandberg. Today's episode is a bit of a long one, but I promise you it keeps the energy coming the entire time. GB Outlaw, known by most as just Outlaw, is the president, partner, and master facilitator of Next Progression, providing leadership and performance insights, strategies, and tools to help organizations and individuals unleash their full potential and make a positive difference in the world. Get ready to be energized, entertained, and motivated on this episode of the Collision Vision. Enjoy the show. Outlaw, thank you for joining us on the Collision Vision.
It is my honor to be with you, Cole.
Man, it's going to be a fun conversation. I was just telling you, but I'll tell the audience as well. You and I spoke last week for our pre-show call, and it was like mid-afternoon, late in the week, and I had a few calls dialed up before the end of the day. And man, I was just fired up based on not only what we talked about, but just your infectious personality. So I am super excited to just dive right in. And before we do that, would love for you to go ahead and give an introduction of yourself. I know some of your background is pretty top secret, but tell us what you can about Outlaw.
Wow. Cole, that's okay. I'll see if I can be concise. And Cole, I have not done that since I've been in this collision space. Twice in the 19 years I've been in this space. But I will do it today. Well, maybe I have. I'm not sure. I just don't do it often. So,
well, it's an honor. It's a great story. I do appreciate it.
Okay, so I started. I'm an athlete. I confess that. I love that part of my life and my development. I played college basketball, point guard, so I had to lead the traffic. And I majored in mechanical engineering. And I was able to do both, which was a challenge. But I was able to overcome it. I graduated with my degree, and I went to Lockheed Aeronautical Systems. And during that time at Lockheed, I received a security clearance. And once I got the security clearance, I was elevated to another level of clearance. And that was top secret. And that allowed me to get behind certain doors to see what was happening and what my contribution could be once I got acclimated. And that top secret clearance, or that security clearance, I refer to it as, gave me access to the composites environment. So for 5 years, I was a composites process engineer. And to me, that was the formative stages of who I am in my career, because I was 24 and there were 55 gentlemen behind that door. They were in a union environment. And they just, these young guys, at that time, I was younger than I am now, of course. You had to prove yourself. You had to earn your respect. You had to earn their trust. And it wasn't easy. Their average age was 45. So out of 55 guys, average age of 45, it was a challenge in the beginning. Thank God that I played on a team. So here's what happened. I got to say, here's what happened. Every project that I had for the first 6 months did not work. I could have gotten discouraged, but I have this resilience about myself that I learned as an engineer, basketball player. You have to have resilience if you're going to graduate and play. So this composites environment taught me a lot about people, purpose, and process. And during such time, I was journaling. And so this composites environment is just to define what a composite is taking dissimilar materials that have their own behavior and bringing those dissimilar materials together as one product. We call it a laminate. Now, it's the laminate that I can't discuss, but the process I can share a little bit about. Understanding these dissimilar materials' behaviors and how they perform under pressure and heat will determine the success of the laminate. So in those 5 years, it taught me again about people, because people are different. But then there is this point where there's a shared purpose that we all can gravitate to. That's what composites engineering taught me. And so after 6 months of working this process to earn and gain their trust, because with trust came respect. And after I earned their trust and gained their respect, everything I worked on was a success. So the challenges I was having before the success was namely relationships. These guys didn't know me. They didn't even know if I would make it. And there were times where I thought they were actually trying to get rid of me. But again, I was resilient. I knew how to earn their trust. I did. It worked. And so for 5 years, I was in that environment. And then I left and I went to PPG. I was actually recruited to come and get involved in their aerospace program, which was in Huntsville, Alabama. And in Huntsville, Alabama, PPG was producing windshields, the aircraft windshields for both commercial and military. And at such time, PPG, I'd say, had a large percentage of the aerospace airplane market. Well, I was brought in to work on the Advanced Tactical Fighter, which is a product that had never been attempted before. It's where you take a compound shape and you take composite materials and again, bring them in as a laminate. You had glass, you had plastic, you had interlayer, you had the internal workings of these dissimilar materials. So when I got there, PPG was having troubles building this product. And so I walked through that secure door. And on the other side of that door were a group of people who then became my teammates, who had been working on this product for over 3 years. And man, this is a beautiful story. I'm gonna get emotional behind this. So after 3 years of producing a product that did not meet standard or specifications, there was this belief amongst that team that it couldn't be done. But then shows up this guy named Outlaw, who was fired up for the opportunity, who had seen and worked in a composites environment and understood the behaviors of dissimilar materials, but equally understood the behaviors of my team members who didn't believe. So before we even started working on the product, I had to engage with them and help them see a different way. I had to really help cultivate their beliefs, because I walk through that door of opportunity every day believing we can build this and we're going to build this. And I'm still the youngest guy in the room. And so you got these senior guys looking at me like, man, we've been working on this thing for 3 years. We haven't built anything. And what makes him think he can just come in here and make this happen? Well, I believed in myself, first of all, but I also believed in them. All they needed was a little tweaking. This whole process needed a little tweaking. And so I have to say, after 6 months of engaging with the team, understanding their experiences and how their role plays into the process, and developing some things we'll talk about later. And so little by little, we were having some success. And success builds on success. So in our business called Next Progression, we have a statement that says consistency grows exponentially. So if you can consistently build on small progress, then exponentially that small progress grows. And before you know it, Cole, 6 months, 7 months later, we built it. It was the first in the world. So you can imagine the behavior of my teammates, my behavior, PPG's behavior, the end user behavior. Because again, 3 years, PPG at that point hadn't produced anything. So 7 months later, They called me the new guy. They called it BO. Before Outlaw, we couldn't build it. I'll never forget that tag. And then 7 months later, we built it and it was a success. And then we were given another opportunity, the team that is, to work on the B-2 bomber. And man, when I see that B-2 bomber flying out there and I see some of those aircrafts that are flying out there that I can't talk too much about, I get so excited, man, because I remember the challenges we had, the discomfort we had. And because we didn't give up or give in, the growth we achieved when we were able to get to the other side. And so we built the B-2 bomb, and the tolerances on that aircraft, on that product, that transparency product, they were so tight that those tolerances were not seen in aerospace. 3,000s, plus or minus one. And if you were beyond that limit, it was a reject. So we were able to build that product with the help of the team. It wasn't me, the engineer, the project leader, dictating how we would go forward. It was me, the project leader, extracting his ego and engaging with everybody on that team because, man, I tell you what, I just believe in the human spirit. I believe that when the human spirit is in an environment that's organic and it's growth oriented, there's nothing that we as a team collectively with a shared purpose. And when people understand their role and how their role fits into the process, particularly if they have the skills, and if they don't have all the skills, but they're willing to develop those skills, man, there is nothing on planet Earth that the human spirit cannot build and produce. I've seen it personally. I've been a part of it. So I was in that space for 9 years, and I was getting ready to make a transition. I was getting ready to go to another level in my career development. So I was getting ready to depart from PPG, take on a different role. I was going into some sales and some other things, and PPG asked me to stick around because I was leaving Huntsville. I needed to get back to Atlanta, Georgia, where I'm from.
Home was calling.
And PPG did not have anything in Atlanta, so but they wanted me to stay. And they talked about the automotive industry. For PPG, it was called Refinish. And I took a look at it, and Cole, I fell in love with it. I fell in love with the people. Now, I have to say, engineering, process engineering, I'm humbly stating this. I hope this doesn't come across, I don't know. But I love process engineering because I can see things from where they are to where they need to be. And I understand the steps in between. It's been demonstrated through my composites and aerospace background. But when I came over into the refinish side of things, I was more on the soft issue side, sales, time management, leadership, going out there helping PPG's distributors become more professional in their pursuits of serving their customers. And then from that, I got involved on the collision side. And so during the collision side, we introduced lean, and PPG developed this green belt process. But I knew from my previous experience, and this automotive environment is still to this day heavily process oriented. And it's like senior leadership will get this process and they would, let, in my opinion, push it down the throats of their organization. And I've never seen that work. I've seen it tried, but I've never seen it work. And so when I came over and got involved, to me, it's always been cascade down, bottom up. And where those two meet, a whole lot of great things can happen. So in other words, and what I'm saying is we have to get the people involved, because inside of each human, and I still believe this, and I'm going to take this to my grave, inside of each human being, man, there's so much capacity if we just tap into it. But what I experienced over here in the beginning was people were siloed. They were siloed. Particularly in the collision side of things, it was all about their paycheck. My paycheck. And I was like, wow, that's strange to me. It was strange to me.
Sure.
So I found my purpose in that challenge. How does one take an organization and convert this silo mentality or this me mentality to we? Man, I've seen so much. I mean, I just been a part of teams, and I'm inspired by teamwork. I get excited when I go into an organization where you can look, and I can look because I have enough experience. I can see chaos. I see inefficiency. When I was at L.I.F.E, I got this award called Efficiency Expert, because man, inefficiency sticks out to me like a sore thumb. And so when I was going into these collision centers, man, I was seeing, bottlenecks. I was seeing waste. I just saw a lot of things. And so I fell in love with this automotive industry, man. I fell in love with this collision. I fell in love with the whole supply chain. I just fell in love with it because it involves people. There's a process and there's a purpose around it all. And what I experienced when I first came over is that it was so process oriented and the people didn't really understand the purpose.
Man, I love your story and I love your background. And it's always fun to hear, call them industry outsiders, coming in after some experiences elsewhere into the collision industry and seeing the great people, right? I'm sure that's something that's kept you drawn in, and B, maybe some of the things we can learn from outside of the industry. And I want to dive into that. I'm sitting here just chomping at the bit, man. I'm so excited when we're starting to talk leadership and culture. So much of this stuff is so impactful. But before we dive into there, talk to me a little bit more about some of, call it the positives that drew you into the collision industry, but talk to me too about some of the opportunities, maybe some of the ways that as an industry you saw off the bat were inefficient.
Oh man, well, primarily it was the people side, man. It was just the people side. We are a people business who understands process and purpose. So when we do our workshops, we have three symbols that represent who we are. And because I am a mechanical engineer, but those three, one of the three images is a gear, a picture of a gear with three spindles. And they're connected and they're tightly designed, tightly connected. I like to say they're like a Rolex watch that constantly moves, consistently moves, and you don't have to worry about it. And each one of those gears represents one, people, second, purpose, and process. And the biggest of the three gears are people. So I just know that from a leadership perspective, any senior leader of an organization must invest his or her time and energy and imagination in the people. And that, when I came over and up to now, in a lot of places, is not happening. There's a lot of focus around process. And I just believe you can make any process work when you have people who are engaged, who truly understand process. So again, it's the 3 Ps. So
I love it. I love it. And there's so many great sayings you have with Team Outlaw, and everything has some meanings. Before we get into that, though along the same lines, I'd be remiss not to mention, in addition to your public speaking, in addition to your coaching and your consulting, you're also an author. Can you tell us a little bit about your book, Conquering the Mountain? It's your choice to climb, and choice is a special word there, I think.
Yes, it is. Thank you for that introduction. So Conquering the mountain is your choice to climb. It's truly just a collection of journaling that both my partner and I were doing in our early development. As I said, we've had some early successes in our careers, and we wanted to share that with human beings. Again, that mountain represents life, conquering that mountain. And we already know that life, and we call it the gift of life each day. And it's like, that gift is going to have a combination of opportunities and challenges. And we want people who read the book or who engages with Team Outlaw to realize that opportunities and challenges have a relationship. They're like one and the same. What I mean by that is when you're given an opportunity like today, working with Cole, that opportunity could have some challenges. But when you encounter that challenge, if you have resilience and willpower and that grind, which we'll talk about, and you don't quit, you will see the opportunity on the other side of the challenge. So we want people to look at life like that mountain that we have to conquer on a daily basis. And as we climb that mountain, we're going to be making choices. And our choice has power connected to it because every choice we make produces an outcome. From the time you make the choice till you get the outcome, there's a process in between. And we want people to understand that. So we want people to know that you can conquer this mountain when you have a can-do mindset. You can conquer this mountain when you're investing in your health. You can conquer this mountain when you have relationships that says, I got your back, I'm all in. This is a win-win opportunity for us both. So in that book, there's some stories. In that book are some seeds. Now, I need to highlight some of the seeds because those seeds that we put in the book is, I want to say 56, we call them high performance seeds. That if and when one embraces those seeds, into their DNA, because Cole, I don't know if this makes any sense at all, but I'm going to say it anyway. I see the human body like earth, like organic matter, dirt. And when you plant the seed of grind, getting results is never dull. When you plant that seed called M.A.D, that's our very first seed, making a difference. When you plant the seed fun, because I believe you can have fun when you're conquering the mountains of life. You just have to understand what is your next milestone and what is your plan to achieve it. And who do you have on your team that's willing to help you get there and you willing to help them get there? But FUN stands for fired up now. When you give those seeds what they need to grow inside of you, and they become a part of who you are, and then your power of choice is centered around making a difference. How do I make a difference that enhances Cole's day? How does Cole make a difference that enhances the next person? How do we increase value together? This value creation is a part of those three C's I just mentioned. Because if we're making a difference, if we're embracing the grind, I've heard so many people say, oh man, I got to go to my grind. So the purpose behind the C's again was to take some words that were negative and show the positive of it. So we wanted to do some transformation. Because if I were to call you mad, just mad without a C, somebody would think you were upset. But in our world, M.A.D stands for M.A.D stands for making a difference. So can you make a difference today? The answer is yes. When your power of choice, power is a seed. You got me all fired up, Cole. I hope I'm answering your question. So let me.
You are, man. I'm fired up too. Absolutely. Okay. No, that's great stuff.
Power of choice. Power. Proving one's word earns respect. I can't tell you how many times someone is giving me their word and then follow up. And when that happens on a consistent basis, remember, consistency grows exponentially. If that happens too often, then it removes trust. You can't build trust. But man, when you honor your word, trust grows, respect grows, and people are willing to climb that performance mountain with you, conquer that mountain with you. So on the cover of the book, it has choice. It's your choice to climb. It's a seed. It stands for conceiving how one's intentions creates excellence. So if your choices are fueled by the power, which are connected to making a difference, fired up now, and getting results is never dull, I know for a fact, I've seen it. There are testimonials in the book of where it's happening. So that's a little bit about the book. We just want
that's phenomenal.
Yeah. You know, Cole, in that book, again, it's the experiences that we have. And, you know, can you imagine someone not having confidence and really believing in themselves? I've seen that all too often. I've seen how organizations, the culture of an organization, can just strip a person of its beliefs. I saw it when, in my earlier days, when things were being done and there was very little success, and people started believing what they couldn't do, and then that started establishing limiting beliefs. See, I believe there are no limits to what we can believe. There are no limits to what we can achieve when we do it together. And so that book is really, truly, our inspiration was to help that reader realize that you can have anything in this life you desire when you're willing to embrace your grind, make a difference, and have fun in the process, along with some other seeds. So, you know, we just, you know, before I leave this earth, and my time on this earth is shorter than the beginning. I hope I said that right. In our book, we have this chapter called The Game of Life in 4 Quarters. Game is a seed, life is a seed. So we want to help people to play the game of life to win. So in that book, it helps the reader really, if they're willing to invest in themselves, invest in those seeds, and make those seeds a part of their DNA. When they wake up in the morning and get that gift, we call it the gift of life. It's a seed. It stands for getting inspired for today. But when you have limited beliefs and you don't have the confidence, then you may not see that gift of life. And we want to flip that. You know, someone asked me, Outlaw, man, I bet you see the glass half full. I said, no. He said, what do you mean? Now I see the glass full and overflowing. That's how I see it. This thing of, man, the glass is either half empty or half full. Somebody taught us that. Somebody taught us that. And that's not the thinking that I have. I think that when I wake up in the morning and get this gift, my glass is full and overflowing, and I need to go share that overflow. When I share that overflow, I believe that makes a difference because I'm doing it authentically. Because I want to see people win in life. I want to see people fulfilled. I'm working on my legacy there, Cole, because I'm in the 4th quarter in the game of life, and we tagged it as the legacy phase of life. I've made it to the 4th quarter, Cole, and we say legacy. So the question is, Outlaw, what's going to be your legacy? I hope it's very simple. That man made a difference in me and in my life. That's what I hope it says. So I'm driven by that. That's my purpose. That's my purpose. So the book really establishes that foundation. And
man, that's wonderful. I absolutely, I can see that is your passion right now, and it's what you're aiming to do in everything, and it's what we're doing in this conversation. It's very apparent that you make a difference on an impact on everyone you encounter. A couple more points on the books, and then we'll move on to a couple more seeds I want to talk about that jumped out
Sure.
to me personally. Number one, we'll be sure to include a link to your book in the show notes to make that easy for listeners to check out. B, and something we talked about in our pre-show conversation that jumped out at me as well, there are so many thoughts and moments to you in this book that are so clear that might not have jumped out at the time as being so impactful, but you were really good about kind of journaling as you went through life, and that allowed for, I think, a lot of really cool things to come through that otherwise would not have. That was a piece of advice you gave me. Any commentary on that as well, the idea of journaling life?
Oh my God. So for individuals who have, man, that's a great question, man. Thank you so much for that. Anybody that has a dream, has a vision for where they want to go in life, and even if you don't, we urge every stakeholder we come in contact with to journal. Just write down your experiences. And here's the benefit, Cole. 3 years from now, 2 years from now, 5 years from now, when you're looking back at that historical piece. Now we say, look at it, read about it, but don't stay in that history section too long, because you got to deal with your current situation so you can move forward. But it's that journaling that helps you, that inspires you. When you see some of the challenges that you were able to overcome, and then you meet another challenge, man, you're developing mental muscle. So we encourage people, write down some of the highlights of your day. Please include those challenges. And if you don't quit, if you embrace your grind, if you make a difference and you're having fun, guess what? You can use that to springboard you forward. So when you're sitting down thinking about your plan of attack or your goals in life or how you're going to achieve X, Y, or Z, when you have that journal, man, that journal will inspire you. It will help you conjure up certain situations that you knew were challenging that you were able to overcome. So when you're sitting in that moment and you're writing out your plan of action and you see some of the obstacles you're going to encounter, because you have that mental muscle, you know you can overcome it. So many people don't journal, and then if they do make time to sit down and talk about their goals, because when we talk about goal planning, we also want you to identify what are your roadblocks, because they're going to be roadblocks. We call them challenges. What challenges do you foresee? So if you don't have that journal, you don't have those experiences documented, right? It can be challenging to see how you're going to overcome. But if you've been journaling and you've been keeping up with your day-to-day, and we're not talking about writing a book, because see, once you start the journaling process, again, what do we say? Consistency grows exponentially. To start out journaling, if you stay consistent with it, you will become more efficient with it. So you don't have to sit there and write and journal for an hour. Once you get that mental muscle around journaling, I guarantee you take you 7 to 8 minutes, 9 minutes. And then you got a snapshot of your day, of your week, of your month, of your year. So when you need to go get some inspiration, Cole, do you ever need to go get some inspiration?
Absolutely.
Man, there are many things you can do. You can go read somebody else's book, which I recommend. But you can also read your own.
Yep.
Which I also recommend. How did I get through? How did I get from point A to point B? That's in your journal, man. So you can read your journal to power up, refuel, so you can move forward. I hope that answers the question.
Oh, very much so. And the idea is so powerful, not only to provide perspective for the challenges and opportunities in life, but also, kind of separately, we didn't touch on it here, but how often do you hear someone saying, life is just flying by? It's sort of a very specific reference here, but it sort of makes me feel like it would be a lot like an episode of Seinfeld where you go and rewatch an episode of that show. I'm not sure if you're a fan, but you forget
Oh, man.
how many classic scenes are in every single one. And the truth is, every day, every week of your life probably has more classic scenes than you could possibly remember on your own.
Oh, well said, Cole. Well said.
Thank
Let me
you.
give you another
I'm
benefit.
trying to learn,
One more
man.
benefit. I have to share this benefit. So I have two adults. They were kids and now they're adults. They met our standard of adulthood. So when people ask, how are your kids? We'd say we don't have kids. We have adults because they stay above that standard. That's just how we cultivated them when they were young. So my daughter and my son, I allowed them when we were developing this book, I allowed them to see our journal, my journals, some of my journals that took me back to Lockheed. That was in 1984. I got this bookshelf of just journals. And it's like, wow, Dad. And it doesn't take long. So I had to throw that in because our journals inspired our two adultees when they were young.
Beautiful, man. How
Yeah,
great. I want to go back to the seeds because we went
Sure.
through and kind of walked through a lot of the ones that jumped out at me, but a couple kind of spilled over that I want to touch on. The first one that I don't believe we've talked about is WIN, W-I-N. That's an important thing in life. Talk to us about what that stands for in your world.
Now, it's a seed. What you just described is a word, the word WIN.
Sure.
The seed is W.I.N. That's the seed. And Cole, I am a horticulturist by hobby. And so I understand the germination process of seeds. You know, when you go buy a pack of seeds, it'll tell you what that seed is to produce in the right environment, under the right conditions. I've seen people plant seeds and not give that seed, that process, what it needs for that seed to break out of its shell, open up, establish a root system, and break ground. When those conditions are met, whatever that package description says, it produces. So WIN stands for what's important now to everyone. Well, I'll keep it individual. What's important now to you in life, Cole? What's important now to me in life? And when you deal with an organization where you have people like a composite who've been conditioned so many different ways, because we don't all share the same beliefs. But when you're in that room, in that workshop environment, and we're talking about, Cole, what's important now to you in life? You'll be surprised what comes out of that seed, out of that discussion. And what we've seen, oh my gosh, Cole, what we've seen, I'm going to say 100% of the time, man, people are working in an environment and they only know one another from the surface up. They don't know what's on the inside of that human being. And because of that, the relationship, the bond in the relationship, there's so many micro cracks in that bond that it can't solidify. I hope that makes sense. See, when I know, you know, and most people will say, you know, when you ask, what's important now? You know, to make money. That's the outcome of any process. But what would you do with the increase in pay? Or what are you going to do with that money? Cole, when I hear people say, I need to support my mother, or I need to support my somebody, I gotta, you know, I want to make sure I can send my kid to college. Or, you know what, I've been living in an apartment now for, I don't know, however many years. And, you know, I think it's time to get a house so my kids can have a backyard to go play. See, if we just stop at, well, what's important now to me is to make money, then what is that telling you? But what would you do? What are you going to do? What do you want to do with that money. See, we like to go down into the soil of a person, not the surface, but inside. And when they say that publicly out loud amongst the other team members, that means Cole just heard what was important now to Outlaw. I just heard what's important now to Cole. I truly believe when we create a win-win-win culture, when people know each other deeper than the surface, man, I tell you what, oh God, you got the transformation takes place. Let me tell you what happened, what I've seen happen with my own eyes in this space. When someone says, I want to buy a house. Now, I take personal privilege because I'm the facilitator. So I would ask that person, I want you to paint the picture. What do you mean? What does that house look like? What kind of house do you want? How many bedrooms do you want? How many bathrooms do you want? Describe your backyard. And who's playing in it? Cole? When I'm getting Gator, man, talking to you, I'm getting too excited. Cole, when people can paint that picture of what would happen when they buy that, what kind of house they want, brick house, siding, I don't know, garage, I don't know, describe it. For many, that's the first time they were able to create a vision. And then we flip it to the organization. Outlaw just painted a vision of what's important now. What's important now to this organization? What's that vision? Paint that picture for us. How do you see us operating and working together? Win. Win this game of life, Cole, to win. Now,
love it. Because
I was an athlete, and when you compete in sports, there's always a winner and a what?
Loser.
A loser. So we've taken the word. We're working on taking that. Well, we have a seed for lose. See, we don't want people to look at losing as a bad thing. We want people to look at losing as an opportunity to learn how to get better. So it ain't winning and losing. W&L is winning and learning. Because if you lose and you learn something, then guess what? The next time you get that opportunity, you can win. But if you're losing and you're not putting anything into getting better, then you're going to continue to lose. So it all starts with what's important now. And when you say something as simple as to make money, that ain't going to sit well with Team Outlaw. We're going down in there. We're going to figure it out. We're going to cultivate that statement and find out what that true root is to making more money. See, because that gives you purpose.
Yep. Powerful. Yeah. Powerful. Sounds terrifying to an extent, but impactful and powerful, no doubt.
Look here, man. I have so many letters from stakeholders of the past who, because they shared their win and we track it, we keep up with them. Man, I have guys who reached out to me and said, man, I bought that house, Outlaw.
Wow.
My daughter is going to college, and I started that program you asked me to start because, we have some natural laws around those seeds there. But I'll slow down there, Cole, and there's another seed you want me.
Two more, and hit us with as many as you want because it's awesome stuff. The other is Drive, DRIVE.
Right on. Drive. Delivering results is very exciting. I don't know of an organization, be it business or family. See, we look at families as organizations because it involves people. I don't know of any organization that's not in the results business.
Yep.
So if we can plant the seed of drive, delivering results is very exciting. How do we deliver results? And what are those results? When we know clearly what those results are, we understand the purpose and we understand the people that's involved in that delivery, we can achieve it. And it's that drive that's inside of me, that drive that's inside of you, that's going to help us all win, Cole.
I love it. Fantastic. Last one. And this one shares a name, the word does at least, with my company, with something that I know is very important, but sometimes can be challenged with focus.
Oh, wow. Right on. I love that. Golly. Thanks, Cole. Thank you, man. Focus is following our course until successful. Following our course until successful. And many times our course is our vision. Our course is our purpose statement, our vision statement. And our vision statement is connected to our win. See, when we have a course that's clear, particularly up that performance mountain, we know the vision. We know that vision that we're all in pursuit of, we know that everybody in that organization can win when we focus on that vision and when we follow that course. So following our course until successful. We ain't quitting. We ain't going to give up. We may have to adapt. We may have to pivot. We may have to shift, but we're going to drive forward. We're going to win, and we're going to achieve this vision because we stay focused on it. So there's so many things, Cole, in a day that can pull you off your course. There's so many distractions that can pull you off your course. We have to be able to what? We have to be able to see through the distractions. We got to understand what those distractions are. We got to be able to see through it so we can stay focused on what it is we're having to do right now. So if I'm a body professional, if I'm a painter, if I'm a distributor salesman, what is my focus of the day? And I got to get that done. So.
Love it. Well, that's it for my pop quiz on the seeds. But those were the ones, in addition to many you mentioned earlier, that really jumped out at me, and I felt needed desperately to have some time spent today. But as you mentioned, many, many more. Check them out on the book, check them out on the website. Just really powerful stuff. I want to shift gears a little bit, Outlaw. So much of what we've talked about, both in our personal conversation offline and today so far in our conversation, is culture. And it seems like it's always a key word in our industry and beyond, yet it's something still generally lacking, especially in our industry. It's so tough, and we can write it off where, hey, this is a uniquely tough business to build a good culture in. But at the end of the day, it is up to us. What would you say to any business leader listening to us? And what advice would you give them about building a strong culture?
Organizations are made of people. Organizations have systems, they have structures, and they have processes, and they have people. That's what, in my world, a culture is made of. So, also in that organization, there are boundaries. We call them values. So the question is that culture organic, where everybody feels they can win? Or is it toxic, where everybody is in there for their own self, own self? That's my definition of culture. A productive culture is one that's organic. The people inside that organization understands the role that they're in. They understand the objective of their role. They know what they're responsible for. And all of that is connected to a vision. With that vision, we have to have certain systems in place. Are those systems proven? Those processes, are they proven processes that work? And if the processes are proven, like lean. Lean's been around since the 80s. It ain't new. But are those processes effective? If the answer is yes, and you're not getting the results, then it must be the people. So the people got to understand the process. They got to understand the purpose of it. and they have to understand how their contribution drives results, makes a difference, so we can all win. Culture.
Love it. It's such
And there's more to
Oh, go
it.
ahead, Outlaw.
That's the piece that I want to share. There's, when I walk inside an organization and I see a lot of dysfunction, well, that's the culture of that organization. It's dysfunctional. Now we have to, for those that are interested, because again, I love those environments because I already know what the issues are. You see, when you have, we have to, when people are involved, that's why we say we're in the people business, because process comes easy to us. But we must make sure that we understand the purpose on both sides. Man, we got to get people to fall in love with one another. And the way they fall in love is to understand their win and understand that we are in this for a shared purpose so everybody can win. Now, what's causing all this chaos? See, we have to talk to the people and get them involved. We have to quit focusing on just the process. We got to focus on the people and let them know just how important they are to the overall success, because this culture wants everyone to win. That has to be the mind share of everybody on the team. Everybody must win. How do we do that? We have to build a culture that's organic, that is inclusive, that's transparent, that people can feel like they can ask questions and not get their head chopped off because there's, we're just culture.
Love it, man. Powerful. It's so challenging for so many businesses, but it's that combination of process and people, and it's a fine
Purpose.
line.
And purpose. Cole, it's challenging in this space because, again, man, we're so driven by process. But there are two other P's.
Yep.
Two other P's, right? There's two other P's. Look, I'm just going to say this. Maybe this is not the right time to say it, but I'm going to say it anyway. On the collision side, when that product is completed, there's still another step. We got to close out the paperwork. I see facilities letting that paperwork stack up towards the end of the month. Man, do you know what kind of pressure that puts on the person that has to reconcile that? Do you know what kind of pressure that puts on a business's cash flow when those units are complete and the paperwork is still there? It's not where it needs. I mean, come on. How are we going to win?
Hey, absolutely, man. Bring the heat. That's what we're here for. No right or wrong time on that one.
That's just one step in the process. But anyway, culture. Is it organic? Or is it chaotic, stressful? The senior leadership team, they're responsible for creating an organic, a growth-minded culture. They're responsible for that. I think personally that 70% of their time and energy ought to be really developing the people side, making sure the systems in place work, the equipment works. So,
I
hope that
well put, man. People, the importance can't be understated, can't be overstated, and it's for a multitude of reasons. But that culture is paramount, and frankly, typically a strong culture is going to be reflected in the financials as well. There's no more valuable asset than people.
Cole, you just, boy, I love you, Cole. Love is a seed, by the way. And I like to say that to brothers and sisters, man. I love you, man, because you understand. You understand the boundaries. You understand the purpose.
Hey, my favorite seed is M.A.D. Just so everyone knows, leading up to this call, Outlaw was calling me Mad Cole, which is an unbelievable compliment. I appreciate that. But I said, hey, let's not call me that until after we walk through the seeds, because I don't want them thinking I'm angry. So I appreciate you waiting on that. Um, Outlaw, man, you've been so generous with your time, and I do appreciate it. Before we get into kind of wrapping up the show and talking about some key takeaways, is there
Sure.
anything we did not discuss that we need to before we part ways?
Cole, you are an exceptional host. And I mean that. You're an exceptional host. I I I don't there's so much more I could share, and that was but to answer your questions, I hope I did a great job of answering your questions. I'm fine.
Beautiful, man. No, well, you've made my job very easy today. It is always a pleasure connecting. Let me go ahead and do this. As you know, we like to end each episode of the Collision Vision with 3 key takeaways. I've taken away like a dozen plus here, so very, very tough for me to get a top 3, but what would those takeaways be to you?
3 takeaways. How do we get people to be clear on the vision, to move directionally together? And is that vision clear enough that everyone on the team can see how they can win together if they just have each other's back? That's the number 1 takeaway. Clear vision, so we can move in a forward direction, but also ensuring that everyone on that team understands that vision and they can see within that vision how they can win, the organization can win, and the other stakeholders can win. So that vision is very powerful, and it has pulling power. The second takeaway would be, are people clear on the organizational boundaries that define how we engage with one another? Specifically for organization that has a vision at hand, but also do those boundaries, which again, let us know what our attitude and behaviors must be if we're going to win. Then the third takeaway, engagement is the key to any organization. And when I say engagement, I'm talking about how the team engages with one another. I'm on a journey. I'm on this journey, Cole. I'm a fan of the McKinsey organization, this global consulting organization, and Gallup. And I like to read these statistics around culture and engagement within an organization. And it saddens me, but it fuels my purpose that when you look at the percentage of individuals in an organization, any organization, per their statistics and their research, they're saying that 29% of the people in an organization is engaged. 71% is either disengaged or unengaged. When I read that, I immediately default to the disengaged and the unengaged, because the disengaged and the unengaged has a certain behavior. And you can see that attitude and you can measure that behavior, but they show up every day. Now, however they got to that stage in their careers, I'm not sure. Was it the culture that created this disengagement or this unengagement? I have my answers to that, my beliefs to that, but I won't say in this opportunity right here. So Team Outlaw, we're on a journey to take that 29% engagement to double it. We want to see at least 60% engagement, where the disengaged shrinks and the unengaged goes away. I hope that makes sense. But those are the 3 takeaways from this opportunity with you.
I love it, man. Absolutely. Slam dunk. Tell us about, we've kind of talked about it throughout, but real quick, just to put it on a pedestal, tell us about Next Progression and your offerings, and then tell us about how we can get in touch with you.
Wow. Well, Next Progression. Woo, man. Next Progression. We partner with organizations, man. So the definition of Next Progression is a vision for the future plus a keen focus in the present. We are a growth strategy company that focus on the people side of business. And here's what we do. We like partnering with organizations that value investment in human capital, to create people equity. Within this ecosystem, we help organizations transform and build momentum to achieve, first of all, to weather the storm, to achieve their win-win-win. That's next progression. Now, what was the second question you asked me, Cole?
How can people who are interested in reaching out get in touch with you and the team Outlaw?
Okay, so you said also what offerings do we have? I want to make sure we get that.
Oh yeah, yeah. Don't want to forget that.
Yes, sir. So offerings. We have our flagship workshop. It's called Leadership and Leading Change. It continues to evolve, and the foundation behind Leadership and Leading Change is that Team Outlaw Next Progression views people as leaders of their own life. As leaders of our own life, we recognize that we are going to play different roles in life. When I go to my work opportunity, I am in a certain role, maybe multiple roles, but I have to make sure that me as a leader of my own life, that I'm making choices like a leader in the role that I'm in. We believe that. So as a leader of my own life, and if I'm in a role, I must understand the objective of that role. What's the objective of the role? What are my responsibilities when I'm in that role? And what is this role expected to produce? We got to make sure people are clear on that. So we have leadership and leading change, because we want people to change from being, excuse my expression, but this is what I believe. We're tired of managing our lives. We need to lead our lives. And when we can take that kind of mindset into an organization, be it business oriented, community oriented, or personal oriented, when we can take that leader's mindset into those different opportunities, when you're in those different roles, you can certainly win. But you got to be clear. So from that, we have created some online collateral that we're very, very excited about, Cole. And those titles are Purposeful Leadership. We're going to talk about the 10 characteristics of a purposeful leader. And again, everybody's a leader in my book of their own life. Now, so let me stop there. I get too excited. The next online course is developing your mental muscle. Because if you're going to conquer this mountain of life, then you got to have mental muscle. You have to have experiences that have challenged you, so you can build that mental muscle to keep climbing that performance mountain. So when you see that challenge, you don't get afraid. You see that challenge and you realize, man, there's an opportunity on that other side. So let's go. Instead of saying, well, man, that's a major hurdle, man. You want me to go from, I'll just use the term that I like to use. You want me to go from 14-day cycle time to 10? Man, I don't know if we can do that. Well, yes, you can. But we just got to build a mental muscle. It's called a can-do mindset. Then the next online course is to embrace your discomfort. Embracing discomfort is where growth occurs. We cannot afford to be complacent for long periods of time. Now, complacency has its place, but we say don't stay too long. Complacency to me is only needed when you need to rest and recover and power back up. But once you power back up, let's get back out there and make it happen. So embracing discomfort. The other online course that we're going to be dropping here next month is bring your enthusiasm to every opportunity. Everything I just shared with our listening audience is within our control. We just have to develop some things about ourselves to make this happen. We only going to get one shot out of this game of life. The question is, are you playing to win, or if you're playing for some other reason? I hope you're playing to win, because we're only going to get one shot. And if you get to be like me in the fourth quarter, well, we're saying now it's about your legacy, Outlaw, because you've accomplished some things, you've acquired some things, you have some things, but they're just things. What are they going to say about you when you leave this planet? That's important to me, Cole. I hope it's important to anyone that's playing this game to win. Did you help that brother make a difference? Did you help that sister make a difference? Let me calm down.
No, don't calm down, man. It's infectious.
I mean, I'm just saying, so, bring your enthusiasm, because we're playing this game to win. You might as well get fired up right now. We call it having fun. You may as well make a difference. We call it M.A.D. You might as well embrace your grind. Getting results is never dull. And then you ought to go ahead and elevate your drive, because delivering results is very exciting. So you want to build on that consistency, because again, consistency grows exponentially. So if you're consistently getting it right, oh my greatness, efficiencies improve, effectiveness improves, throughput improves as well. So those are the three courses that we have on slate that's ready to drop, and we're working on one more, but we're not ready yet.
All right, we'll save that one for next time. But looking forward to keeping an eye out there. Now, where do all those live? Where can people track those down?
Our website is nextprogression.com. Nextprogression.com. And by the way, before we conclude, I want to say I'm honored, and I'm not sure how we were selected to participate in your podcast, but I'm honored. I was so excited. I am so excited about this opportunity. And since my enthusiasm is within my control, I thought I'd bring 100% of it.
I love it, man.
I certainly hope I answered your question.
You did. You brought the enthusiasm. I'm ready to run through a brick wall right now, and it's the end of the workday, so I don't know. I don't know what I'm going to do to expound this energy. But no, man, I am fired up every time we get to speak with you, and just really appreciate you and everything you and Team Outlaw does, and want to sincerely thank you for joining us here on the Collision Vision today.
I'm appreciative of your magazine. I'm equally appreciative of this podcast experience. It's been a great experience, Mad Cole.
Outlaw, thank you so much, man. Really appreciate it and look forward to staying in touch. What a fun and energizing episode of the Collision Vision. Thank you to Outlaw of Next Progression for joining us on today's show. I'm sitting here just fired up after our conversation, and I do hope you're feeling the exact same way. If you enjoyed this episode, please be sure to like, follow, and subscribe to the Collision Vision, both wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube, where the Collision Vision lives in video form. As always, on behalf of the Auto Body News team and myself, thank you for coming along for the ride.